Good morning from beautiful Brisbane, Australia, and welcome, Conscious Warriors, to Hump Day. Well, I'm not sure if it'll be Hump Day where you are yet, but we certainly are on Hump Day in Brisbane, Australia, and we are so grateful because it rained last night, which takes a bit of the heat and humidity out of our air, so no more air that we wear today. It's just going to build up a bit. How are you? And welcome to everyone that's here for the first time. Remember to say g'day, and if you have any questions, please feel welcome to ask away. If you're here for the first time, as well as saying g'day, let me know where you're from. And if you're here as part of our normal morning class, it's great to have you with me. And this morning, we're going to go and chat a bit about working with our inner child, but I also wanted to give you a bit of an update or further insight into one of our earlier sessions this week where we talked about how important a morning routine was, why it's crucial for us in our recovery journey. And part of that was about time. And what I found this week, or what I've discovered and unpacked this week, is as I have set intentions to every night have everything in place and then get up the next morning to, follow through on the routine, it's actually opened up my awareness to where I need to start putting more structure in my day. And in order that I can, not just for me, but in order that I can fit in what Nick needs for his mental health as well, and other things that crop up, just the normal everyday things. And what I'm finding is that if I'm prepared to do that, then I stop putting off things that need to be done. Because what I'm finding is in the processing in my mind is that it's not so much a feeling of overwhelm, it's like trying to keep track of everything in a row. And as I've, continue to push forward that being organised the night before for the next day, I'm realising that I need to be able to put more of the day in an order where I'm going to feel comfortable as well. Yeah, good morning, Nat. Yeah, we were up really late last night, Nick and I were. Well, he was obviously off in his room. And he came in and said, "Can't you sleep?" And I'm like, no, the heat is just phenomenal. And so we just sat there reading away. And next thing you know, I think he went back to bed as well. And next thing you know, it poured rain. And I'm like, just going, I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful. So I hope other people got rain in Australia last night as well. Good morning, Diana. Great to have you with me. Okay, so if you want the worksheet and the video from earlier this week, talking about why it's crucial for us to develop a morning routine and how to go about that, let me just see if I actually put the right link up yet or not. No, that's to the YouTube channel. Okay, I've been doing lots of different links this morning, changing links and all sorts on different sites, and here we go. So in the comments very shortly there will appear the link to the free professional resources that you can access, so you can download the worksheet for why it's crucial to do a morning routine and how to do it, and then you'll also have today's worksheet for the inner child, but the video is now in there as well. So it gives a deeper understanding of how it's so crucial for us to put it into place. And now as I've gone along developing it more, as I've just said, good morning, Rach, then Diana, just look up above and you'll see the link. And you can go in there and watch the video and download the worksheet as well. So what I'm discovering, as I said, is by putting this routine in place, I'm discovering where else I can put strategies and structure in place. It's more about structure, and that way it becomes easier to emotionally navigate time and what I want to do as well. And it's not about beating yourself up, because I used to be really effective at giving myself a hard time as well about about, what I could and couldn't do. And in the end, it's just a waste of time for us to do that. It's like, okay, what's my one next step to building into a purpose-driven life so that I'm living what I want to accomplish as well. Okay, so I wanted to share some information with you this morning about working with our inner child because it's highly effective and it can be a really good strategy to use even if you're at home on your own or in with a therapist or in with a coach. It just depends where you're at in your journey of recovery. So sometimes we need to work with a professional to start inner child work to really get the interpersonal side of it happening. And other times when we've done that work, we get hold of the concept, we understand what's behind it, and we can actually sit down and do some journaling around it as well. So I'm going to go through what the concept is, plus the areas that we can use it in, and also I'll also talk about my journey with the inner child stuff, work, way of doing things as well, because it was definitely a progressive journey over a number of years, and it was really, really effective. Now, when I tell you the journey, don't go, oh, I'm just going to jump to the end. Recovery doesn't work like that. We've got to build this increasing deeper awareness of our internal process in order that we can then say, well, no, that's not who I am, and I want to be able to make different choices. So our inner child is part of our unconscious and can be seen when we come under pressure or feel overwhelmed. We begin to act like an emotional child, not like a mature adult. So just think of the last time you lost the plot. I mean, let's face it, we all do that. We get under pressure, we can't process the thoughts, and next thing you know, we're having an outburst. And then it's not until after the outburst that we go, oh, flip. Not only is that not who I am, it's not how I want to behave as an adult. I could have handled that better, etc., etc. But when it's driven from our unconscious, okay, it's not something that until now we've had any choice over. It's like getting triggered. It's driven from our unconscious, and then it's there in front of us. It's what we do from that point on, that we build our awareness internally of what the driver is, so that when we can recognize when the internal driver goes, hello, I'm here, and then we get to change what happens externally. So I want you to look at the inner child as reflecting the child we were once, both in the negative and the positive expressions. So it's going to come out in a negative, as we've explained, but sometimes as an adult too, it can come out in childlike wonder at things. I know I do that at times. I'll have literally like a childlike wonder response to something that's happening, and you just get that people are looking at me like, why is she so excited about that? And I thought, you know what? I was so serious as a child because of everything that was going on, that I do have, as an adult, this sense of childlike wonder at things that happen in day-to-day life for other people. When things are good, and I get really excited when somebody's doing a good job and it impacts my work as well, and I get really excited, and I'll say it repeatedly, and I certainly get the understanding. They're like, why is she going on about this? But it is. And then and that's part of our social learning too. Remember, we didn't have a lot of social learning when we were growing up either. So it's all part of our learning process. So, again, giving ourselves a hard time isn't the operation, the key focus here. It's recognizing what's happening so that we can monitor, okay, I've already said thank you for that once. I don't need to go on and on about it, even though I'm feeling really excited because it's something new to me. We need to go, okay, I want to change my focus to where it needs to be. So why does it happen? So our unmet needs and suppressed childhood emotions as well as our childlike curiosity, creativity, and joy are still all inside of us, okay? So everything that hasn't been expressed when we were a child is still there waiting to not come up and, oh, you know, we're going to end in a disaster. It's there waiting for us to acknowledge it as part of ourselves, as part of our process, part of our life. And remember, when you read Dr. Bessel van der Kolk's The Body Keeps the Score, it's still there. So we've got to learn. Sorry, we're doing the Australian wave here. Flies this morning. It's just bizarre. And so, you know, we've got to have a lot of compassion for ourselves, that a lot of what went on for us in childhood, we didn't have language for. So we had no words to put around what had happened. Our mind couldn't wrap around it. Our emotions were overwhelmed, and our whole nervous system was like, oh my goodness, this is too much for a child to be dealing with. And so we've got to give ourselves a chance through the recovery process to say, okay, I can recognize that's what's happening for me now, and I'm going to put some strategies in place so I don't go back down the road. But back to the inner child. With trauma and abuse, you know, we learn to hide and suppress a lot of the pain as well, and the fear. So I know for me, the fear and the pain stayed suppressed for, yeah, okay, well, I was going to say decades, but yeah, okay, let's be kind, years, because I didn't know it was there. How can we know it's there if it was just a normal part of our life that our families didn't talk about any of this stuff, didn't recognize it? You know, Nick and I were in the car yesterday, and we'd been to check out a new mental health place to see if it'd be part of his recovery. And I could see that fear was there. So in the car on the way home, we had that discussion about the fear and what was happening. But in our families, we didn't have those discussions. Nobody ever said to us as a kid, oh, look, I can see this is making you really nervous. Let's sit down and work it through, or talk about it, or, you know, explain what's got to happen, where we're going, and so on. And so it just becomes part of our life that we never talked about it. And even now, even though I get on and talk to you, each stage I realise there's a whole new level of communication that I need to learn, okay? So we need to be able to go, right, that didn't happen for me, but as an adult, I can teach myself, I can learn. We can come on here and talk to each other, and we can learn how to navigate our way through that communication as well. We don't want to, once the fear comes up, that's what I was going to say too, as mothers, this is why after we have children, a lot of this comes up, because the hormones are raging, the whole body chemistry, the adrenaline, everything, everything gets shifted around. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, for me, after my third child, a year after my third child, all of a sudden everything started coming up. And this is normal, because especially when we live with a conscious intent that we want to change things, it comes up so that we can address it along the way. Okay, so Fiona just said there's a whole new level of communication that I need to learn. Exactly, yeah. And I'm finding that too, Fiona. I'm finding that what I'm discovering now is that there's a whole new level of communication I need to learn in relation to personal relationships. So I've been through the whole learn the communication with friends, but now again, I'm not getting into a relationship, but just even having friendships with other males. It's like I'm needing to learn how to have these conversations that and about emotions, about how they feel, and there was just so much I was thinking about last night that I haven't ever had before. But we can learn. Yeah, I understand. But we can learn. That's the good news. We can learn. And the people that come into our life, if they're healthy people like us in recovery, and we are, we're being really conscious and intentional about where we're building our lives, they're not going to have a problem either. They're going to go, yeah, no worries at all. So with our back to the inner child chat show, so with trauma and abuse, when we've learnt to hide it all right, there were also verbal and non-verbal cues where if you want to be loved, don't show your emotions. So if you were to take a moment right now and put your hand on your heart and think, where am I not showing my emotions or how I feel about a situation? Where am I trying to navigate it without expressing how I feel? Okay, what would that be for you? We can also believe as adults, if we do express our emotions, that we will be rejected, making it harder to share our emotions as adults. So we have to do some work around rejection, around loneliness, in order to build up our sense of self as well. So with inner child work, it can help with some of the following things. So discovering and releasing repressed emotions that we're holding back. It can help us recognize our unmet needs. It can help us to resolve unhelpful patterns. So think about the times in your life. So for me, a pattern of choosing the wrong type of person to be in a relationship with. This inner child work can help us resolve that as well. It can help us recognize where we need increased self-care, and recognizing when we're thinking too much about everybody else and their responses instead of thinking about, hey, I'm the adult now, I need to become aware of what would be my response, what would be my chosen response in this situation, as opposed to what is my normal response in this situation. So for me, my chosen response now is to sit down and identify what my needs are, whereas once upon a time I used to just respond how it was expected of me, okay? And once we start choosing to respond how it meets my core values and my unmet needs, it can, shed a few waves. But that's okay, because, the waves take the rubbish out to sea far, far away. Sorry, I have a really dry sense of humour. It can help us to discover where we can be more creative and playful. And inner child work can also increase our self-respect and our self-worth. Now, inner child work is helpful in trauma recovery as we come to recognise, sinus, different parts of ourselves needing expression, and it can help us learn how to communicate interpersonally. And it does that by us accessing our inner child and saying, okay, what is it I need to say, or what is it or an even better question is, what is it that I'm used to hiding that I really want to say, okay? When we ask good questions, we get different answers, different results. Hang on, let me see if I can do this, Fiona. So Fiona says, I never had a dad to teach me any of this stuff, and mother was switched off and still is. My 52-year journey. Yeah, I agree. Learning to navigate my inner child to resolve unhelpful patterns and stop choosing the wrong people around us. Wise words. Oh, sorry, I didn't realise you said what I said too. Yeah, it is. And it is because we're taking it from a childlike view of, there's something common that we all do, and it just went straight through my mind. You should know how I feel. Why can't you see how I feel? And we don't realise that it's a childlike response in an adult situation. In an adult situation, we go, this is how I'm feeling, this is what's happening for me, this is what I want and need in this situation. Yeah. I know, right, Fiona? It was just on the go. Wave therapy. Take the rubbish out. Okay, so part of my inner child work in the beginning was learning just to access my inner child. And one of the ways is you can put your hand on your heart and just slow your breath down so that you're conscious of your breath going in and out of your body. But you want to consciously go, well, this is how I'm feeling about this situation. This is what I recognize a bit about this situation. And then you want to move into the deeper levels and say, okay, what do I feel more deeply within me as a child? What would my inner child say in this situation? So it's a concept that we can either use with our imagination. It's a concept that we can use to access our deeper emotions that we haven't given ourselves permission to access prior to this. And as I went along the inner child journey over quite a number of years, I eventually came to a therapist. I went to her because she specialised in neurology. And she said to me, it's time now for you to ask your inner child what she needs and to let her know that you're the adult now and you can provide that for her. So I don't want you to go straight to, what do you need? What can I give you? That's not compassionate, and it's not developed a relationship within yourself, with your unconscious self. It's got to be this progressive journey where we get to that, until I reached a stage where I was able to feel that I could hold her, hold myself, nourish myself, and take responsibility for that. Oh, that's lovely, Fiona. Fiona said, my faith journey has taught me to leave the safety of the harbour and put out to sea. Yeah, I know, and I couldn't agree more, Fiona. Our faith journey is such a strength throughout all of this, because sometimes even when we do inner child work, we don't know what we're navigating towards or from, or what's going to come after the towards either. And our faith can be our strength that, okay, if I just take this one next step, I'll be okay. I'm safe. Exactly. Morning, Rach. Rach says, I find my inner child comes out as loving teddy bears and other cuddly toys. Aww. Sometimes wanting to go to a toy shop. I nearly cried earlier because Mum bought a teddy I wanted, last one in the shop, for another family member. I'm 23, for goodness sake, but I love them. Oh my goodness. And that's okay. If it gives you that nourishing and nurturing that's okay. I have a couple in my bed because at night, if things get not overwhelming, but a bit, not even on edge, it's just that really unsettled feeling. If I touch the surface of it, and because I've got a Sensi Bear, it's got all different touch sensations on it, I find that even just having that sense of touch with the fan blowing on me and the music going, it's enough. The sensory system shifts everything just enough that I'm able to go to sleep. And if we can do at least 3 things with that, it can even help us give that access to the inner child as well, to sit down and say, okay, ask the question, are there emotions that I've been ignoring and that I really want to get real and raw with, and say, right, I want to write these down, I want to talk to someone about it, and I want to be able to process it, so that I find when I talk things out, it helps me wrap my mind around it. So my sons, they're so gorgeous. I'm totally biased. But I'll say, oh, you got time for Mum? And they'll just know. They don't need to do anything except sit there. And I just verbally go through what I'm processing. And then go, okay, thank you. And we need that interpersonal. And look, if they've got input, they'll be the first to tell me, but sometimes we just have to have that verbal and interpersonal relationship to process things and get it out. It's part of what we need as being a human being. Rach says they were the only thing that helped me feel safe with my abuser. Yeah, it would have been like, actually, Rach, you just reminded me. I used to have this, it was like a woolly dog. So it had a dog's head, but it just had a padded body, and it had a zipper on it, and you could put your pajamas in. I don't even know if they have them these days. But it used to go everywhere with me and had a really silky touch to it. But I was the same. Whenever I had to leave my mum's, wherever I went, it went with me, to the point that, you know, I had to, because underneath was silky as well, you know, over years it had to get patched and stuff. But it's that real safety feeling as well. And people have been known in therapy to hold on to cuddly toys because they do remind us of our child and our childlike needs. So all of this is a really healthy part of our recovery journey. Thanks for joining in, ladies. It's so good to have you having the input as well, because everyone needs it. The silent majority is still out there and need the input from everybody. So maybe we should, it's daytime here, but you know, you lot are going to bed sooner. Go cuddle and just feel good inside yourself and ask your inner child what she needs today. Just one step at a time. And you know, you're the adult now, and this is how I look at it. I'm the adult now. I can meet those needs, and I don't need somebody else to meet those needs. I need to meet those needs, and I need to speak up and say what those needs are. Have a gorgeous, gorgeous evening and a wonderful day if you're in the Southern Hemisphere. Thanks for joining in, girls, and I'll see you again tomorrow morning. Bye for now.